Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 86 on iHeartRadio and Spreaker. Spreaker and iHeartRadio. Say it orderly. Tonight we're going to recap college football in the Mitten, including the Michigan Wolverines, who routed the Indiana Hoosiers. Speaking of routes, CMU routed EMU to become bowl eligible. And Western Michigan routed Miami, Ohio in Oxford. Pistons go 0-3 after a difficult loss to the Brooklyn Nets at the Palace. We'll preview the Red Wings and Sabres Sunday at 5. First off, Wolverines 34, Hoosiers 10. Michigan's defense dominant in home win over Indiana. Written by Nick Baumgartner of MLive.com. Amara Darboh caught 9 passes for 107 yards and a touchdown, and Michigan's defense dominated for 4 quarters Saturday as the Wolverines scored their second Big Ten win of the season, 34-10 over the Indiana Hoosiers. The Wolverines at 4-5 overall and 2-3 in Big Ten Conference play will visit Northwestern next week. Saturday's game featured Michigan's first 200-yard passing day of the season as quarterback Devin Gardner finished his day 22 of 29 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He was almost interception-free. That's not bad. It's pretty good. After netting a field goal on its first possession, Michigan recovered a Tevin Coleman fumble deep in Hoosier territory. 6 plays later, Gardner found tight end Keith Heitzman in the end zone to make it 10-0. Darboh made it 17-0 midway through the second quarter, giving the Wolverines their largest halftime lead since the season opener. Defensively, Michigan controlled Indiana's anemic offense from start to finish. The Hoosiers fumbled twice and didn't score a touchdown until late in the fourth quarter, with the game out of reach. Indiana finished the game with 191 yards and just 10 first downs. Highlights. Darboh shook off a few drops a week ago to turn in the best game of his career Saturday afternoon. He found ways to get open, and more importantly, he caught everything that was thrown his way. He was easily Michigan's most consistent offensive player. Michigan got a spark late in the game, even though it was out of reach, from Johnson. After starter Davion Smith missed a series with an ankle injury, Johnson entered and never left, finishing his day with the team's first 100-yard rushing performance since Derek Green ran for 137 yards against Miami, Ohio, the Redhawks, who played the Western Michigan Broncos today. I'll get to that in a few moments. Michigan's defensive line controlled this game from the outset, racking up 10 tackles for loss before the start of the fourth quarter. Coleman, who entered the game as the nation's leading rusher, finished his day with 108 yards on the ground, his lowest output of the season. Gardner had one horrible throw over the middle that was intercepted and 2 other passes that probably should have been picked. But in the end, he did what he had to do in order to win the football game. Gardner also passed former teammate Denard Robinson on Michigan's career completions list. Lowlights. Devin Funchess made 7 catches, but only for 47 yards. He also dropped a sure first down at one point in the second half and had a ball bounce off his hands in the end zone in the fourth quarter. A less than average effort from the team's most talented receiver. Plus, the offensive line struggled to give much space for the backs early in this game. The Wolverines rushed for just 68 yards in the first half and couldn't seem to get much going until Johnson entered late. Michigan notes. Michigan played without sophomore tight end Jake Butt, who sat out the game due to a team suspension. Running back Davion Smith left the game briefly in the second half with an apparent ankle injury, but he did return. Attendance was announced at 103,111, marking the 257th straight time Michigan has drawn at least 100,000 fans for a home game. Michigan will take on Northwestern, the Wildcats, at Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois. Let me look at the schedule here. I'm going to mgoblue.com. Michigan plays Maryland Saturday, about 2 weeks from here. It is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 Central on ESPN2, November 8th, and then they have the bye week before taking on Maryland at the Big House on November 22nd. This month is November. Today's the 1st. And then on the 29th this month, they take on Ohio State in Columbus, the Buckeyes. And at the top of the article by Baumgartner, it says Michigan's athletic department officially entered a world of change Friday. And Saturday, its struggling football team gave it something to smile about. Home win. And home win. Home win. Home win. Okay. Now to the Chippewas. Just 9 minutes into this episode. By the way, you can add me on Facebook as Taylor Phillips. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. Join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. And follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. That's DT2Phillips. DT, the number 2, Phillips, with 2 L's. Chippewa, the Central Michigan Chippewas routed the Eastern Michigan Eagles 38-7 in Ypsilanti. Devin Spalding and Sailor Lavalley combined to run for 259 yards and 4 touchdowns Saturday as Central Michigan dominated Eastern Michigan 38-7 97 in a Mid-American Conference football game at Rynearson Stadium. The win was CMU's fourth in its last 5 starts, and it lifted the Chippewas to 6-4, making them bowl eligible for the 7th time in the last 9 years. Fire up Chips. They are 4-2 in the MAC. CMU took command early, scoring on its first 2 possessions, and it finished the day with 501 total yards, while holding the Eagles 2-71 in the MAC to a season-low 97, including just 21 on the ground. CMU head coach Dan Enos said, quote, "I thought the story of the day was our defense. I thought our defense played extremely well, bottled up a very explosive offense and a quarterback run game. Our offense did a nice job of running the ball and staying balanced. It was a good team win," unquote. Spalding, a freshman who had logged just 55 yards on 22 carries entering the game, finished with 154 yards on 18 attempts. He scored on runs of 42 and 6 yards, the latter of which came on the second play of the fourth quarter and made it 38-0. Lavallee finished with 105 yards on 24 attempts, notching his first 100-yard game since October 2013. That's last year. Both of his touchdowns came in the first quarter, the first covering 41 yards, the second 1 yard, staking the Chippewas to a 14-0 lead. Enos added, quote, "Sailor ran hard again, very effective. I've been telling everybody that Devin Spalding is going to be good. We've been waiting for that game for him, and I was really happy for him," unquote. CMU quarterback Cooper Rush turned in another efficient performance, completing 18 of 23 passes for 223 yards and a touchdown. The TD pass covered 15 yards and went to a leaping Titus Davis. It was the 30th touchdown reception of Davis's brilliant CMU career. It was another in a line of solid performances by Cooper Rush, that is, a sophomore who continues to improve and become more consistent. He threw for 231 yards in last week's 20-14 victory at Buffalo in a game played like Saturdays at Eastern in very windy conditions. Enos added about Rush, quote, "He's very efficient. He's done a nice job, made some big throws. That throw he made to Titus into his 30-mile-per-hour wind into traffic. Some of the throws that he's made into the wind have just amazed me the last 2 weeks. He just continues to get better," unquote. As do the Chippewas, particularly on defense. The MAC's top-ranked defense limited the Eagles to 5 first downs, forced 8 punts, and held EMU to an average of 2 yards per play. Excellent job. A 4-yard Rob Bolden to Darius Jackson touchdown pass with under 4 minutes to play spoiled CMU's shutout bid. The TD was set up by a blocked punt that gave the Eagles possession on the CMU 6-yard line. CMU defensive tackle Ledarius Walton, who had one of the Chippewas' 3 sacks, added, quote, "You know, at the end of the day, we just want to win. Regardless of the situation, we want to win the game. Our defense, we love it. We take pride in wanting to be the best defense in the MAC," unquote. Senior tight end Deion Butler led the CMU receivers with 5 catches for 95 yards, both career bests. The Chippewas have a bye week, then play host to Miami, Ohio, the Redhawks, on Saturday, November 15th. One week later, they close the regular season at home against rival Western Michigan. Speaking of Western Michigan and Miami, Ohio, let's get to that right now. By the way, that CMU recap was written on CMUChippewas.com by Andy Snedden, of course. Now, this article on WMUBroncos.com, written by Sean Fagan, Oxford, Ohio, the Western Michigan football team rolled up nearly 500 yards of offense and became bowl eligible for the first time since the 2011 season, jumping out to a huge lead on Miami and never letting up on the way to a 41-10 win at Yager Stadium on Saturday. The Broncos improved to 6-3 on the season and 4-1 in Mid-American Conference play. Jarvion Franklin a freshman running back at 6 foot flat tall, broke the program's single-season touchdown record with 3 scores on the afternoon, adding 2 touchdowns in the first half and 1 in the second half for 22 rushing touchdowns on the season. He went off for 182 yards rushing on 29 carries to reach 1,330 rushing yards on the season, and needs just 31 more yards to reach the max single-season freshman rushing record set in 2009. Corey Davis, a sophomore wide receiver, 6 foot 2 inches tall, recorded a receiving touchdown for the 4th straight game and finished with 7 catches for 114 yards. That total included 73 receiving yards in the third quarter alone, which featured a 5-yard fade on the Broncos' first drive of the second half and a 44-yard dash down the sidelines that led to a WMU touchdown two plays later. The Western Michigan defense contained a productive Red Hawk attack, holding Miami to just 236 yards total of offense and taking the ball away twice with a pair of interceptions. The pass rush was elite in recording 6 sacks for a total of 40 yards lost, marking the second straight game in which the Broncos posted 6 or more sacks. That pass rush also triggered the Broncos' first score of the game. Jarrell McKinney, a junior linebacker at 6'4", sacked Andrew Hendricks on a Miami 4th and 5 from the WMU 29-yard line on the Red Hawks' first possession of the game, giving the Broncos the ball on the 36-yard line. Not sure why the Red Hawks went for it on 4th and 5. They could have just gone for the field goal. It took just 3 plays before Franklin burst through the line untouched en route to a 55-yard touchdown run, making it 7-0 with 7:55 to play in the opening quarter. The second score of the half also came as a result of a defensive stand, though this time it was a forced turnover that flipped the tables. Miami drove all the way to the WMU 16 and was threatening to score, but Donald Seliskar, a senior cornerback at 5'11", leaped in front of a Red Hawk receiver in the end zone and hauled in his ninth career interception. The Broncos methodically rushed the ball down the field, with Franklin recording a rush of 14 yards and Darvion Chance, 5'5" running back, 1 of 12 yards to put the team into Miami territory. Terrell connected with Davis on a 10-yard slant down to the Miami 6, and 2 plays later, Franklin found a huge hole on the left side for his 21st rushing touchdown of the season, making it 14-0. The freshman running back's 3rd touchdown rush of the game came in the middle of the 3rd quarter, when he made a sharp cut against the grain after crossing the line of scrimmage and dashed over the right tackle into the end zone. Andrew Haldeman, a junior 5'10" kicker, kicked in an extra point to make it 38-10 with 5:08 left in the third quarter. That lead ballooned to 21 points midway through the second quarter after a stout defense stand gave the Broncos excellent starting field position. Opening the drive on the Miami 37 after a punt return by Daniel Braverman, a 5'10" redshirt sophomore wide receiver. The Broncos advanced deep into the Red Hawks side of the field on a 14-yard catch and run by Darius Phillips, the 5'10" another 5'10" redshirt freshman wide receiver. Franklin went over left tackle for 18 yards down to the Miami 5, and Terrell called his own number on the next play for a 5-yard touchdown rush to make it 21-zip with 8:09 remaining in the third until halftime. Miami cut the deficit to just 14 points at the end of the first half and trailed just 24-10, but WMU scored on their first drive of the second half to quash the rally. The big play of the drive came on 1st and 10 from the Miami 36 when Terrell hit Darius Phillips on a crossing route that was stretched out to the sideline. Phillips was shoved out of bounds at the 9-yard line. Davis closed out the drive with the beauty of a catch, hauling in a fade over the defensive back and putting the Broncos ahead 31-10. Western Michigan will take on Eastern Michigan at home. 2 weeks from today, they have a bye week. I would like to see CMU and WMU go up for the MAC championship. Two great arch rivals going for all the marbles in this conference, in this Mid-American Conference. That's what Chippewa fans love to see. That's what Bronco fans love to see. And that's one of the things that all college football fans in the state of Michigan would love to see as well. Besides just Michigan and Michigan State, like they saw a week ago. Wouldn't that be something? Of course, the Michigan State Spartans have the bye week. Michigan State plays at home against Ohio State at 8 o'clock. State's MSU is ranked 8th. Ohio State's ranked 17th. Check on Ohio State right now. They're taking on Illinois. There's a CMA Awards promotion on ABC. That's the channel that Illinois and Ohio State are televised on right now. You can see locally. It is 48-0 Ohio State over leading Illinois. 7:20 left in the third. Buckeyes just came up with another score. Apparently a touchdown, unless you guys are watching it and proving me wrong. Oh my goodness. Both OSU and MSU have just one overall loss. Michigan State's loss was to Oregon. Buckeyes and Spartans at 8 on ABC and ESPN3.com at Spartan Stadium. Okay, let's get to the Pistons. The Nets scoring ace, Joe Johnson, scored 34 points, including virtually every key basket in the fourth quarter, after the Pistons briefly took a 1-point lead and ruined Detroit's home opener 102-90 Saturday night. That's tonight. Johnson scored 14 points in a 16-2 Nets run after the Pistons took their only lead of the second half, 84-83, on 3 free throws by Caron Butler with 8:49 left. It was 100-86 when Johnson completed his late onslaught. That scoring outburst ruined the first home game coached by Stan Van Gundy, who slipped to 0-3 as Pistons head coach that is. The Pistons had several matchup problems against the Nets, 1-1. That was the Nets' first win of the season, including few answers for the venerable power forward Kevin Garnett, who finished with a double-double of 18 points and 14 rebounds. The Pistons are off for 3 days before hosting the New York Knicks on Wednesday. Greg Monroe finished with a double-double of 18 points and 11 rebounds. It was Monroe's 73rd career double-double. Career double since the 2012-2013 season. Brandon Jennings finished with 18 points and 9 assists in 37 minutes. After playing 36 minutes total in the first 2 games. Kyle Singler struggled on both ends of the floor defensively in a bad matchup with Johnson, and briefly even Deron Williams, and offensively in a 5-point night, 2 of 7 from the field. It's just 3 games into the season, but I don't think the Pistons need Kyle Singler. He's really struggling, truly. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's shooting struggles continue in a 3-for-10 night from the field. The second-year shooting guard is shooting 26.2% for the season, 11 of 42. The Nets shot 52.3% from the field in the first half. Andre Drummond again found himself in foul trouble. He played 22 minutes and committed 5 fouls. He had 6, 5, and 5 fouls in the Pistons' three games played total. The Pistons were out-rebounded for the second time in 3 games, 48-41. Pistons owner Tom Gores acknowledged as he entered his 4th year as Pistons owner that malcontents have had avenues to go behind coaches' backs during his tenure. He said it is happening less because of Van Gundy. He said, quote, the thing is about Stan is he's communicating all the time, and when you're communicating all the time, you have less backdooring. The reason stuff happens, people complain and this and that, is when you're not communicating, unquote. The Grand Rapids Drive, the Pistons NBA Development League affiliate, drafted Robert Covington, last year's D-League Rookie of the Year, with a number 1 overall pick in Saturday's NBDL draft. The Drive drafted 10 players in all. They also signed 3 Pistons training camp cuts: Josh Bostic, Lorenzo Brown, and Hashim Thabit. Pistons take on the Knicks at 7:30 on Wednesday on Fox Sports Detroit. With George Blaha and Greg Kelser on the call. You can also listen to that game and all 82 games total in the regular season for the Pistons on Detroit Sports 105.1 and DetroitSports1051.com. Now previewing the Red Wings and Sabres. hitting the ice. Johan Franzen, written by Brendan Savage on MLive.com, will be back in uniform for the Red Wings Sunday in Buffalo after being sidelined since October 17th with a groin injury suffered in a 4-1 victory at Toronto. He began skating Tuesday, took part in full workouts the past couple days, and has been cleared to return to the lineup when the Red Wings try to win their season-high third straight game against the Sabres, who are 2-8-1 entering tonight's game at Pittsburgh. The Sabres are winless at home. His return means the Red Wings will be healthy up front for the first time all season. Pavel Datsyuk missed the first 5 games after severing his shoulder in the preseason opener, and then Franzen went down, missing the last 6 games after scoring twice versus the Maple Leafs. Franzen has 2 goals and 3 assists in 5 games, who play on the second line along with Gustav Nyquist, who finished with 2 goals and an assist against the Kings Friday night in a 5-2 win, and Darren Helm, who almost got injured. Speaking of the Red Wings' Darren Helm, he got boarded by Kings forward Jordan Nolan, but did not get injured. But Nolan will face a supplementary discipline hearing on Sunday. That's tomorrow. The NHL's Department of Player Safety announced today. The hearing results from a brutal hit that Nolan threw on Detroit Red Wings forward Darren Helm, center, in a game on Friday night. Nolan was only assessed a 2-minute minor for boarding on the penalty. That should have been 5. But it's better than nothing. Nolan, at age 25, is a repeat offender. He was suspended for 1 game last season for punching an unsuspecting player, Edmonton Oilers forward Jesse Jonesuu, and was also fined for cross-checking Vancouver Canucks captain Henrik Sedin in March. Whether Nolan's hearing will be of the telephonic or in-person variety has not been announced or reported at this time. That was on thescore.com. Written by Thomas Drance. Follow him on Twitter at Thomas Drance. Anyway, back to the Franzen returning article by Brendan Savage. Nyquist leads the Red Wings with 7 goals after scoring a pair in Friday's 5-2 victory over the defending Stanley Cup champion Kings, and Helm will add another dimension to the line with his blazing speed. I doubt Jordan Nolan will be suspended for many games. I think just a game or 2. Another game or 2. Jimmy Howard will start again in goal, but the Red Wings will start without one of their defensemen, Kyle Quincy, who is day-to-day but could return to the lineup Tuesday in Ottawa against Bobby Ryan and the Ottawa Senators. at Canadian Tire Center. Brian Lashoff is ready for his season debut. He will replace Kyle Quincy Sunday in Buffalo. Lashoff hasn't dressed since the preseason because Jakob Kindl has played well, doing nothing to get pulled from the lineup. They'll be paired together as they were much of the 2013-2014 season that was last year, when Lashoff played 75 games during the season and all 5 in the playoffs. Illinois just got on the board with a touchdown, 48-7 Ohio State, 1:48 left in the third, Illinois kicking off. Lashoff said, quote, "The more games you play, you get a little more comfortable with the pace of the game, and you know what to expect. I've been working hard in practice. I think I'll definitely be ready for the pace of the game, having the experience I have from last year," unquote. The Wings will play the Sabres Sunday at 5 on Fox Sports Detroit and on 97.1 The Ticket in Southfield in the Detroit area and the Detroit Red Wings radio network. Ken Cowell and Paul Woods on the call on the radio. Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond will call the game on Fox Sports Detroit. Lashoff believes his transition game can be better. Said, quote, "Going back to get pucks and getting them up the boards as quick as possible is something that I want to improve on. It's something I've worked on in practice in the preseason and training camp." And Mike Babcock, the head coach, believes there is room for growth in Lashoff's game. He said, quote, "He's getting better for sure. Lash is a great pro. He trains hard. He's smart. He's a committed teammate." I said it right at training camp. Lash is in no jeopardy of losing his roster spot. He's a good referee. Unquote. Yeah, it's been a while since Lashoff played with the Red Wings. So I think the Red Wings will beat the Sabres up. If they continue to play well like they did against LA, they will clobber the Sabres. So everybody but the Pistons, everybody in Michigan but the Pistons and Eastern Michigan Eagles won. Pistons are still winless. Eastern Michigan football is terrible, admittedly. CNU and WMU might, like I said, have a MAC championship matchup on their hands this season. And Michigan might not fire Brady Hoke just yet because of their dominating win over Indiana. Hoosiers also stink, but that was on Michigan to finish them off, and they had to steamroll them, and Michigan did just that. Don't forget the Lions have a bye week this week, and daylight savings time ends tonight at 2 a.m. So change your clocks an hour back to 9:56 p.m. For example, it's 10:56 p.m. right now, but it should be 9:56. I just thought I'd advise all of you people ahead of time. So that's going to do it for Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 86. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. Add me on Facebook, Taylor Phillips, as page, Taylor Phillips. Wait, I mentioned that. Add me on Facebook as Taylor Phillips. Join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. And follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. That's DT, the number 2, Phillips with 2 L's. This episode has also been broadcast on iHeartRadio, via Spreaker, approved by iHeartRadio. I am Taylor Phillips. I will be on Blog Talk Radio tomorrow night at 11 p.m. And then I will be back Thursday night on Spreaker for episode 87. Because I have an exam to study for. It's a very important exam. The second out of 3 for one of my classes. So I hope you enjoyed listening to and downloading Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 86 on Spreaker. Until tomorrow night on Blog Talk Radio, and then Thursday night back here on Spreaker and iHeartRadio. This is Taylor Phillips saying TTFN, ta-ta for now.